I really shouldn't have started this on such a good song. I want to start right now, but I also want to let this finish, so guess what? We're gonna wait till this finishes. Okay, there we go. Let's get ourselves set up properly. Do. Main screen turn on. Yo, shit, Logic back at it with another stream. Damn right. And, wait, there we go. I was worried that my controller didn't want to work for a second there. But, everything is hunky-dory. We're back in action. And, it's time to continue the mysterious adventures of Herlock Sholmes and his erstwhile assistant, Naruhodo Ryunosuke. Wait, what do you mean it's the other way around? I thought this was a Herlock Sholmes game. You know, asleep as fuck when he streamed this early. Dude, I got up at, like, regular human hours today. I've been getting up at regular human hours for the past 2 weeks, and it's disgusting, and I hate it. In any case, January 9th, SS Berea, first class cabin passageway. I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we'd managed to find some clue as to what that speckled band might be. We didn't manage to investigate at all. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. He's clearly glaring at us, as if to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? Oh, yes, he's completely disappeared. When did he do that? He slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring these were securely back on my wrists. Let's see what Beef Stroganoff has to say. I really wish we had a chance to look around in Miss Pavlova's cabin. What? Why you look like that? You want something? Maybe. You want me to throw you out again, Oh, no, definitely not that. Next time I have to throw you out, I show you where lobsters spend winter. Understand? Understand. Maybe I should steer clear of him until he's forgotten my face. I don't think you'll ever forget your face, Naruhodo-san. Well, it's worth a try at least. Pretty sure I've examined everything in here. Yeah, there's, oh, this door has a new line for us. That door leads to the second class area. It's locked. I can't open it. No, well, that stands to reason. No one wants to let the murderer escape. Gosh, she gave me a very stern look when she said that. Sorry, buddy. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin. Not our cabin, it's Cosmo-sama's. Sorry. Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. Anyway, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga has managed to uncover any new clues. Yes, we should probably find him and ask. Alright. Time to go back to Kazuma's cabin. It looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject. I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed. What do you mean, unscathed? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you, Naruhodo-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you. Oh, yes. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. Oop, I don't want to move. I want to go examining. Oh, have I not checked the chocolate line? Alright, this is new. So it's clear that these letters were written with the ink that was somehow spilt on the floor. And they spelled the Russian word for wardrobe. It does seem to be an unambiguous pointer to you, Naruhodo-san, as you were sleeping in there. But to be truly unambiguous, it should have just spelt out my name, don't you think? Well, either way, one fact remains. It's hard to imagine that Kazuma-sama would have written his last words, or word, in Russian. Which begs the question of who did write it. I think Beef Stroganoff did it. This is all part of Beef Stroganoff's master plan. All the books provided for passengers occupying this cabin, neatly arranged on the shelf. They were all over the place when we first looked around, if you remember. Oh yes, and you tidied them up, didn't you? You have to look after the ship's property. Unruly behavior in the cabins leads to damage. But it really wasn't me who knocked them over. Well, anyway, I feel much better now that they're neatly lined up. I can't relax when things are untidy. There's Hosonaga. This is where Kazuma spent his final moments, writing his diary. 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Looking at his writing here on this page, it's almost impossible to believe that he's gone. Kazuma-sama left us a valuable clue in these words. I'm sure of it. We have to solve this mystery, Naruhodo-san. We will. Or else. Alright, let's talk to other guy first. You, where'd you go? Oh, sorry, I just went to the next door cabin to invest. Why? Who gave you permission for this? Well, Seaman Hosonaga did. That's new Japanese, was it? Later, I will roll him into ball and throw him in cold room. He's gone back to guarding the door. I hope Inspector Hosonaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble on our account. He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him for a steak at Le Carnival. That could be a very long time from now, Naruhodo-san. Alright, Hosonaga, what do you gotta say, buddy? Oh, shit. My dude got fucked up. You're back. Inspector, what happened to you? Your face is... Please, don't worry about it. They're just scratches. Made by a bear, maybe? When I told the captain that I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he'd pummel me with his fists and then toss me overboard. What? But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard. So, it was nothing, really. Looks like he wasn't joking when he said he'd lay his life on the line if he had to. Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little about the neighboring cabin. Yes, so I understand. Oh. I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a little while ago. I think his name was something like Herlock Sholmes. I don't think he was German, though. Ah, that explains it. Shall we compare notes, then? We can tell you what we found out. Yes, let's do it! What? Nikolina Pavlova? She's in the cabin next door? Oh, do you know who she is? Please, what self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that graceful angel? Oops, I think I upset him there. Well, that tells us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case, at least. Uh-oh, shit. Dude's a ballet simp. We found out his deep, dark secret. Oh? How? Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they? Oops, now I definitely upset him. Inspector, has your investigation in here proved fruitful? Why is the Japanese investigator here? He's, going undercover on a secret mission from the Japanese government to be Kazuma Asogi's bodyguard. And that has not gone very well either. I gotta say, Hosonaga is kind of 0 for 2 in this whole affair. If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed. Ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job. Oh, I see. Ah, there is one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you. Oh, what? Yes, do tell us, Inspector, please. Let us know your secrets. Also, hi Crimson, welcome to the stream. What's this new information you have, Inspector? It's this. The Buria medical officer has finished his examination of the body. I managed to obtain the report. Oh, Kazuma's post-mortem report? Kazuma-sama. So, what was the cause of death? Damage to the cervical vertebrae is what's written in the report. His neck was broken? Yes, it would seem so. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury. So at first, I think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all. Well, what weapon was used then? Nothing has been found as of yet. But the fact that there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object. Something that wouldn't leave a mark. Oh, I see. All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It is a possibility, and no obvious wound would be left. Okay, so the ballerina's running away because she's sick of her ballet company, like, exploiting her for her dancing abilities. They barely give her food and water, and she's like, fuck this, I'm out, I'm stealing this tiara, I'm going to go to America and make a new life for myself. And that's what she's doing. Of course, we're keeping that a secret, because, you know, we don't want to rat someone out who's, you know, being treated like shit. That's not cool. Sounds like Britney Spears right now. Yeah, kind of a little bit, yeah, actually. Instead of an evil ballet company, though, you just got, you know, a shitty dad who, like, takes all your hard work away from you. Like, Jesus Christ. Anyway. It is a possibility, and no obvious wound would be left. Poor Kazuma. I have a second copy of the report. If I might be useful, you're welcome to have it. Really? Are you sure? Yes, it's fine. I trust you. It is a Russian company, though, so corruption is expected. I mean, on one hand, that feels unfair to say, But on the other hand, I completely understand where you're coming from. After all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never have agreed to you leaving this cabin in the first place, would I? Oh. You trust the murder suspect. It's okay, he knows better. We found ourselves innocent once, why can't we just find ourselves innocent again? The postmortem report has been entered into the court record. Alright, let's check out this report. So, victim, male, Far Eastern, time of death, sometime between 1 a.m. and a little past 2. So somewhere between 1 and like 2:15. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. The victim's neck was almost certainly broken as a result of a strong blow to the area. No obvious external injuries or traces of poison. So what, did he get like judo chopped in the neck or something? I mean, either that or he got hit by something. Like a book maybe? There's a broken chair in that pile. Maybe he... Honestly, maybe he just slipped and fell. As awful as that would be. And again, you can't really get a neck injury falling forward. And from what we understand from the photographic print, he's clearly fallen forward. Which would imply that he was struck from behind to get hit in the spine. Because, I mean, you could hit the guy from the front, but you wouldn't break a guy's spine by doing that. I don't know. Yeah. And it can't be like a backwards fall, because, again, broken spine. Actually, broken spine, how the hell did he write that note? Okay, so he clearly did not write this note. This was written by someone else after his death. That much I think we can at least infer. Oh, Mr. Sholmes was here, was he? Yes, he seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept about on the floor investigating. He just got hit really hard. Yep. That's probably it. Just got, like, whacked in the dick. That's how he died. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored. Did he say anything at all? Actually, now that you mention it, yes. Just one thing, but he practically shouted it. "It's shoe polish!" was all he said. Shoe polish? I wonder what he meant. It was when he was over there, by the piece of broken glass. Do you see? Oh, perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark, do you think? Ah, yes, that must be it. But how could Mr. Sholmes know that it's shoe polish? That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea. What is it, Susato-san? Well, Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with very dark tan hue. Dark tan? Sort of dark brownish red, then. Yes, a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often repaired them for him. Oh, does this mean that this mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they scuffed on the floor? Well, admittedly, we don't know whose scuffed shoes those are, but that does seem like a reasonable conclusion. Honestly, I really do think he just slipped and fell. And then his body was moved after the fact. That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmen's eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that might be for the best. Thank you. Poor Inspector. You look exhausted. Oh, no. Well, I feel terrible that I failed to protect Asogi-san. He was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. The truth is, I seem to have had a heavy head ever since I woke this morning. A heavy head. That's interesting. My head's still throbbing too. Did we get hit with, like, gas, maybe? The whole cabin's been gassed? Is that what's going on? Oh, I haven't checked this out. This is... Yes, it's a bell cord contraption, I think. What do you mean, contraption? I read about it in a book I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. Large households often have bell cords like this, which you can ring to pull a bell to summon servants. Really? That sounds almost magical. Shall we give it a little try? Yes! In the interests of cultural research, obviously. I suppose nobody comes for lowly Japanese people. No, I'm sure it's just that everyone is busy, that's all. So this ventilator joins to Miss Pavlova's cabin. Yes, that's right. And just a few minutes before he died, Kazuma saw something emerging from it. The speckled band, as he described it. If only Miss Pavlova had been able to shed some light on it, but she seemed as baffled as we were. Yes. Wonder if she's telling us everything, though. I'm not sure. I know most people aboard would say the same about me, but there was something about that woman that didn't sit right with me. I think I've got everything here. Alright. Let's see if we can find something new over here. Do. Oh! Look, Naruhodo-san! Seaman Stroganoff is gone! Sorry, I'm still... Anyway. Strong enough? The burly Russian sailor who's always crossing his arms and glaring at us. Ugh. All these Russian names are impossible to remember. Tra-la-la. Did you hear that? It sounded like someone singing. Tra-la-la-li-ra-li-ra-li. I did it at the great detective way. This caroling. I know that lark-like voice. Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's get inside Miss Pavlova's cabin while we can and investigate. Definitely. Before that stringy knot crewman comes back. It's Stroganoff, not Stringy Knot. They're making a TV show adaptation of Isaac Asimov's Foundation series. Oh, snap. Honestly, I don't know anything about that. Sounds cool, though. I mean, from what little I know of Isaac Asimov, he was a really good sci-fi writer. Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. Suzato-san. Oh, where's she gone? Hey, what are you doing? Those are private things. There's not a moment to waste, Naruhodo-san. We must investigate as quickly as we can. I thought the first one was Philip K. Dick. I'm aware of the 3 laws of robotics. I've seen iRobot. But, like, yeah. Not just for Kazuma-sama. What do you mean? It can't be long now until we arrive at port, in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there. Really? We must solve this case, Naruhodo-san. By ourselves if we have to. Yes, we will. It's basically predictive history through math. You can chart the historical future through math and Foundation. I mean, I know math is amazing, but I didn't know it was predictive of the future as well. Naruhodo-san, are you there? Sorry, I'm right here. Yes? Why? Oh, good. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home. Believe me, I don't have some strange compulsion to jump inside every wardrobe I see, you know? I'll take a look at it after the stream. If you want to whisper it to me, go ahead. I'm not sure if I have link sharing on or not for chat. We'll find out, I guess. It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose they're all stage costumes. I was rather hoping we might find Miss Pavlova's friend hiding in there, but no such luck. This cabin door has the same simple sort of bolted latch that our cabin door has. If the bolt's drawn across, there's no way anybody could enter the cabin from outside. Yes, it's not a particularly heavy-duty bolt, is it? But still, it wouldn't slide across of its own accord, would it? No, and the door's made of metal, so there's no chance of trickery using magnets to unbolt it from the outside. And it seals up perfectly, too, to stop any seawater coming in. So you couldn't use the method you told me of passing a thread through a crack around the closed door, either. I seem to know a lot of tricks for opening doors. I'm starting to see why they suspect me. Oh, sharing does work. Nice. Well, there you go. If you're interested in seeing the trailer for Isuke's Moss Foundation series, it's there. Thank you very much, Crimson. I'll check that out when I'm done the stream. All the books have toppled over together. Look, every single one. Do you think that's a god of the sea, perhaps? He's toppled too, though. Hey, no worries. I know what it's like to get excited about things. And then have it, like, consume your thoughts for, like, the next few months. It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door. Hold it. I see a logic streaming graded to Ace Attorney and I'm not in chat. This is an outrage. Hey, Lenny, welcome to the stream. We're continuing on with case number 2. Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase? I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company? Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage. Not everything bad that happens on this ship is because of me, you know. Well, anyway, I'll set them all straight again in here, too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. Susato, that could be vital evidence. Oh yes, they're displayed in this cabin, too. Look, the SS Buria's rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. I suppose Miss Pavlova realized that she needed to keep the contents of her case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean. I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine. I just hope Seaman Stroganoff doesn't find it and throw it overboard. Oh yes, so do I. Seaman Stroganoff. Do. Beef stroganoff. God damn it. Why do you do this to me, Symphogear? Gosh, I can't wait for Lady to get this case for the Russians. Yes. Oh, man. Lady's actually going to have another character to voice for this one. I mean, she's going to have two, actually, because, like, Susato barely speaks in Case 1. There's just a few books on the desk. Nothing else by the looks of it. Well, Miss Pavlova only ran away from the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied this cabin for any time at all. That's true. I wonder what kind of books she likes to read. Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading. Books written in Russian. Thanks. I think I probably already knew that. It's rude to ask too much of people, Naruhodo-san. Kindly remember that. Can't wait to hear what kind of voice Lady will give to Nicolino while she's in the disguise. Oh, yeah. So what, you're just gonna tell her, no, Lady, you voice this one? And she's gonna be like, wait, what? Why? And just like, just trust me. I wonder what this little saucer's doing on the floor. Yeah, pretty much. Yes, it doesn't look like it's been dropped. More like it was put there deliberately. Do you think there could be a leak in the roof just above here? What? A leak? Is this ship quite safe? I'm sure that even if there's a little leak in the roof, it doesn't mean that the whole ship is gonna sink. No, you're right. Of course you're right. She's really trying to persuade herself, isn't she? It would seem that this teapot is empty. So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are a very thirsty people. God damn it. They were really having fun with this localization, weren't they? Or because Miss Pavlova only came into this cabin last night, she hasn't had the chance to make any tea yet. I mean, it could be either. It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'd lay 1,000 to 1 on it. You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruhodo-san? The localization team was waiting years to work on these games. They've earned their moment of fun with it. Oh, I completely agree. I love it when the localization team's enjoying themselves. The only kind of humor I don't like is, like, memes, because memes will, like, super date your work. And, most of the time memes aren't funny. Sorry. There's one of these next to the bed in Kazuma's cabin, too. Otherwise, though, just fucking go for it. Like, yeah. Puns are eternal. Silly jokes, eternal. Yes, it's a bell cord. I can't resist. She barely hesitated there. And she gave it a good tug, too. No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come. We don't want them to! We're trying to investigate in secret! Oh, Susato. She's not quite as insane as Maya, but she definitely has traits of her. So this ventilator connects to Kazuma's cabin next door. Yes, although, what a fool the shipment builder must be to open a ventilator into another room. Maybe. It's so that if there's a gas leak next door, the occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm. Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning. That is a possibility. Anyway, last night, Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of this ventilator. What am I missing? Books. Tea. Oh. I haven't checked the chest, obviously. I'm like, what haven't I checked yet? Oh, the case, obviously. My god. The most obvious thing in the room, what haven't you checked yet? Good old Hunt the Pixel. Yep. Oh my, Miss Pavlova's case is open. It's completely empty inside. But according to the great detective's great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in there. Yes, a friend that she had to keep secret. Because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the SS Buria. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. And more to the point, where is it now? Alright, I'm still missing something here. So maybe I won't feel too bad about missing that. Yeah, there's nobody to converse with, which is what I was just checking there. The trash bin. Oh, thank you. I suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket. Shall we have a little look and see what's been thrown away? Naruhodo-san, it's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know. Those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly. We have no choice. Always check the trash. You may find your local ouchie in there. Oh, yes! My dear lady, I'm in the trash right now. There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. How much am I missing in here? Alright. Like, I feel like this bag is super conspicuous, but I can't check it. I checked the ventilator. Checked the wardrobe. Is it the rug? I wonder. Okay, I'm gonna examine stuff in the passageway then. Because the game was like, hey, maybe check things out here. Miss Pavlova's cabin. This could be our chance. What? The burly sailor doesn't appear to be around at the moment. We could investigate every last inch of that cabin. Suzato, we just did. I'm not sure if we could go that far, but we could certainly do with looking around more. I'm sure we could learn something. Ah. Suzato will always hint if you still have more things to investigate in the area in the move menu. Ah, the himbo idiot. I wanted to see if there's something else before talking to Herlock here, but I guess not. Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes, look! Wow, you never know where he's going to turn up next, do you? He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself. Tra-la-la-lira-lira-lay, I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed us? Or he's simply in extremely high spirits? Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when the yard bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, it's lucky Herlock was about. Excuse me. I solved it all, and I stood tall. I did it the great detective way. Mr. Sholmes! Ah! Oh, what is it? You want to fight? Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he is singing, and just when I was about to reach the climactic finish. Sorry, I thought you were never going to stop, so I figured now is as good a time as any. I very nearly dropped you to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Alright, I get the picture. Now, could you put those fists away? Aw, shit. Herlock wants to throw down. Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you. Ah, yes, that. I was immersed in study of the ship's log, as penned by the stockily-built crewman who's usually on guard here. Oh, yes, the ship's log. And did you find out anything useful from it? Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of the entries are blank. Which means that there was nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it. Sorry? Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Observe the other pages, and all shall become clear. It would seem that the same crewman offstands sentry in this first-class passageway, and he has an almost religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour. Oh, he writes that in every 30 minutes? Nothing to report? Precisely! Put simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet, the ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report. Do you mean... Yes, there were circumstances afoot last night, which led to the seaman being absent from his post. What kind of circumstances? What happened? That remains a mystery for now, but we can be sure something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log in your mental file. Thank you, Herlock. Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective. Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is, I see. What makes Sholmes, brilliance! God. What is it? Are you hurt? Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning for some reason. Nothing more. Huh? Him too? Well, my friends, until our next encounter. He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders off down the passageway. Is something wrong, Suzato-san? You seem lost in thought. It's just... well, I feel the same. Sorry. Ever since I woke this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing. Oh, you too? Is everyone on the cabin affected by this? Suzato made an offhanded comment about gas, and now I'm really starting to think that this whole ship has been gassed by something. It's obviously not, like, deadly toxic, because... I'm gonna amend that statement. Aside from Cosmo being dead, but we're pretty certain it was a blow to the neck. This gas has just been, you know, giving everybody headaches. Alright. Anything else we're checking here? I don't think so. I've already checked that. I meant to go left. Alright. Let's see what Suzato-san has to say. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. What's that? Ah. 10-1, Herlock just pulled the alarms. Oh no. Shut down the engines immediately! Vessel sighted a quarter-mile forward. Full stop. Hard to starboard. All hands, brace for impact. What the? I think we're about to crash into another ship. What? I can't stand. Suzato-san, hold on to me. Ah! Are the Russians coming for us? Maybe. Suzato-san, are you alright? Are you injured at all? I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruhodo-san. It looks like we avoided a collision. I think... Yes, the ship has come to a stop. Oh my goodness, what about you, Naruhodo-san? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosonaga. Is that you in there, Naruhodo-san? Unbolt the door, quickly. What? The bolt? Look at that. The door's bolted. Did you do that, Suzato-san? No, I didn't touch it. Well, that's strange. How did... And... Look at all the books. They're just like they were before again. Naruhodo-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in? Okay, so the ship did stop sometime last night. Because that's why everything was tilted on its side like that. Apparently people slept through it. Which I didn't know you could do, but hey. Oh, fuck. Knockout gas, yeah. If the whole ship was hit with knockout gas, and then the alarm was pulled, nobody would wake up through it. This case is just getting crazier and crazier. What the fuck is going on here? I better tidy this place up first. Our violent emergency stop had solved one mystery at least, in a very vivid way. But I knew that what awaited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. Some very elaborate conspiracy going on here to kill a single Japanese student. Yeah, no kidding. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. That was a really short point to intermission here. Obviously, I'm going to be continuing on after this. I've only been streaming for like 45 minutes. Or 50 according to my timer here. So yeah, we're going to keep going. Pull a Feb. Cliffhanger us. Sorry guys, I'm only going to stream for 45 minutes today. Have a good night, everybody. God, I could not imagine. January 9th. SS Buria, Miss Pavlova's cabin. Is pulling a Feb me banning you for saying the drink word? Because, I mean, I could do that, but I really don't want to. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Suzato-san took a deep breath, then gently slid back the bolt. You! What are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters? Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine, thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew is running everywhere. This first class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm? Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? Ah! You wicked intruder! Dressed in all black! You are the devil! Sorry, me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is a first. You opened my traveling case! How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector! Yes? Arrest this man! I know he did it! He is a criminal! It is not enough that he has killed a man. Da! And he is stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? Take him away! He is a trespasser as well as everything else. Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right. You are devil. How can you arrest a man a second time? I'm already in cuffs, guys. Like, seriously. Doesn't look good, does it? There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Put 2 handcuffs on him. Yeah, that'll show him. Tomorrow, we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police. Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hosonaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. Alright. Let's hide in the wardrobe. I just need to keep calm and focus on the task at hand, which is investigating. Don't touch my things! You want me to show you where crawfish hibernates? Hiya! Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think you're doing? Wow. Everyone's attacking me. And I was just starting to think she was my friend. I need a bot command that's just like a Susato toss counter. Isn't there anyone who can help me out of this mess? You've got yourself into a difficult situation here. By entering this cabin uninvited, I mean. Sorry, I was just so desperate to find a clue. I'm afraid there's really nothing more I can do to help you. If I push my luck any further, a punch to the face will be the least of my worries. I'm really sorry. I have to take responsibility for giving you the freedom to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin. Now this has happened, I'll have to report to the captain at once. I really need some help here. I need a savior to rescue me from this crisis. I mean, the answer is obvious, of course. However... Miss Pavlova, can I? Get out! Listen, I'm sorry that we snuck in here without your permission, but get out now! We just need to investigate in here to help understand what... Get out! I'm sure that's Cyrillic for get out, but I can't read Cyrillic. It's no use, she's not gonna listen. I need to find someone who will... Please, just give me a little more time. I do nothing for you, except show you way to ship's prison cell. Thanks, but no thanks. But I'm innocent. I didn't kill anyone. And trespassing. And stowing away. Well, you know, sometimes life can lead you down some unusual avenues, and, well... Enough! You are guilty. Ship's cell is a place only fit for you. Come on, there has to be someone. Some savior to rescue me from this crisis. Save me, Milk Jug. Only you can save me. No. What the? What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes? Naturally, I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Spider Holmes, does whatever a Spider Holmes does. Can he hang from a hanger? Yes, he can. He's Mr. Sholmes. Look out! Here comes the Spider Sholmes. Have I not told you that as a detective it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy! Oh, no, no, no. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall, so full of brag and bounce. I never know when to take this man seriously or not. You again, the great detective. Ah, Inspector. I confess, I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time. What is to report? Speak! Urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes, the case of the curious murder that took place last night, here on this vessel, the steamship Burya, has been solved. By me, naturally. What? Really? Yes. I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Ha! You have solved it? Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all know who was responsible for killing Student Boy this morning, when we found criminal in wardrobe. Now, I know you think Hedgehogs can solve cases, but we can't all be like Sonic. We can't go fast here. It is this stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it. I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim, because as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories. Da! Locked room! That is point. The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You are all quite mistaken, because we just proved that it can, when you hit the alarm. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator man! The ventilator? You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole. That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? At 1:23 a.m., I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m., what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Precisely, my dear madame. But what does it mean? What is the speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Sholmes? What are you doing? There's a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I am about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cores. Behold! Yeah! What the? Nani? It's a snack. He's actually not bad at pointing things out. It's just his conclusions that are wonky. Yeah, like, legitimately, Herlock has been a lot of help in this case. Just because he's helping us, actually find the answers to the questions we need right when we need them. So, this is almost assuredly Miss Pavlova's pet. This is her snack friend. Allow me to introduce you all to the band. The Speckled Band. A snake? Indubitably. I don't think the snake killed Cosma, just thinking here. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about the snake either, because I think this is a red herring. This is 100% a red herring, because we discovered the secret to the bolt on the door. With the bolt on the door being what it is, we answer a whole lot of questions. How did somebody get out of the locked room? Why did the person write the dying message in Russian? How did somebody move Cosma's hand to write that note? They can't fit through the ventilator. I think the snake went through the ventilator. I think we know that. But I don't think the snake is the cause of death here. Or at least that's my personal guess right now. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Yes, you're right. I think in this case, you'd have to call it the Striped Band, wouldn't you? You both see and observe with distinction. However, do you not think that is precisely the trap in which the culprit wishes you to fall? Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? It's a trap! How exactly? I think perhaps it is time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one, last night, your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two, the same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Sholmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi? Sure thing, Stroganoff. Looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Oh no, we're dancing again. Oh man, we're dancing again. Yes, but also, oh god, why? Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, is it not? Ah, as I expected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of these. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal, can only be the snake's slewed skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No. I don't know what you're talking about. He shed it in the ventilator? I guess. This is news to me. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. I like how the deduction is blinking in and out like a broadcast sign. Yep. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake, whose markings change each time it slews its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Jesus, man. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? How's he doing all this fourth wall typing? I know, right? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there are no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't think this is a murder at all. Here's my hunch. He slipped and fell and broke his neck when everything tilted. Then his body was moved after the fact to make it look like a murder. That's my great deduction. We'll see what we get from here. The almost, but not quite, imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent's assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed. You'd put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you'd summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. Seriously, dude, she has no motive. Yeah, that's the real question. What reason would she have to kill Mr. Usogi? Could she be somebody else entirely? I don't know. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. Do you deny the snake has undergone such training? It's not true! Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. Death by a venomous snakebite. I don't know about that. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Alright, we're gonna have to break this deduction down. He's got some ideas that seem close, but others are quite a ways away. Also saving a new slot. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible! You've solved the mystery! Amazing! Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Herlock Sholmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just, about your deductions before, some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madame. And reptiles, don't drink milk. It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it'd be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Yeah, they don't have ears either, actually. That's a fair point. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Good call, Crimson. Yes, so I'm not sure it'd really be possible to signal a snake by whistling. But, madame, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears! These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless! Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There is one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins. Then it should try harder! Please, Don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. Rip. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no. You don't mean... Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What? You mean let him get all the credit again? Hey, sometimes that's just how it goes, isn't it? You've done it again! Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not. I shall see they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Alright, so I'm not gonna voice over anything I've done before. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smashes with pain. She does have a pained expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly. Is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment and really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. Well, she seems to be looking at her hand. Ah, there we go. Kind of surprising we didn't see this before. But there's no way a snake could do that. Oh, Naruhodo-san, look! That looks like a very painful wound. Looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. And fairly recently, too. Well, whatever scratched her doesn't appear to be around here. I'm just examining. She has such petite ears among that beautiful hair, like little pink shells. Oh, what's that? There's something dangling down from her ear. That's an earring. The crescent moon part looks as though it's made from wood. It's charming, isn't it? Women do seem to love adornments like that. In their hair, around their necks, on their fingers, and even hanging from their ears, it seems. Well, jewelry is beautiful, Naruhodo-san. Alright, so I'm gonna assume it's this cat scratch. But let's look at the right ear. There's something attached to her ear. I expect that's what's called an earring. It's a little piece of jewelry. An earring, is it? It really is tiny. Perhaps part of it is missing. Maybe it broke off. So now all that's left is the clasp part that attaches to the ear. If that's the case, she doesn't appear to have noticed that it's broken. Yeah, because we can see that something else is there. Alright, let's present this claw scratch.
Yes!
Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? As I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer. Is it semen stroganoff? Is there something else here? There we go. We can finally examine this picture frame. It's a kitten. Aw, isn't it cute? Look at the photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She is exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true. But personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we'd better take a closer look at this. Look at the little cat Miss Pavlova is cuddling here. What a cute little kitten! It could vie with you, couldn't it, Naruhodo-san? For the blackest outfit. A black kitten. And from the looks of this picture, at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attached to it. Let us... I'm just gonna check out Semen Stroganoff. There's no doubt, is there? She looked in this direction. Straight at Semen Stroganoff. Well, they do seem to be friends of sorts. But I can't imagine how he could possibly fit through that ventilator. Don't forget that I managed to fit inside Cosmo's trunk when we first boarded the ship. I would ask what that proves, but I think an equivocal little smile would be more effective. Clearly, it was the teapot. I have a feeling that it was this teapot that Miss Pavlova's eyes flickered over to before. You think this is the friend she's been talking about? Well, we're all different, aren't we? Whatever we might say about it, if that's the way she feels, I don't think I'll say anything about it then. You and the teapot can discuss it instead. Wait, that's not what I meant! That must be a stage costume she's wearing. It's quite stunning. I should like to have something like that. And she's wearing the 20,000 rubles on her head as well. Look. It's called a tiara, Naruhodo-san, and you shouldn't think of it purely in terms of its value. She must be a strong-willed woman to turn her back on the world stage and run away all on her own. Alright, time to present.
Yes!
The Chat Noir. Black Cat. Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Ah! Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that's what you are trying, but failing to conceal can only be the snake's slewed skin. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would have ever known. Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Sholmes' specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Apparently we can still check out her ears. Let's take a look at it, though. Well, it is speckled, and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy, a long piece of cloth of some sort. And that looks like a handle at one end. I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. That sounds positively adorable. Alright. Yes! Now we present it. Yes, that thing you're trying, but failing, to conceal is a cat's toy. Precisely! And the true nature of the now infamous speckled band. Correction! And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. Ah! I think she just wanted to get the snake out of the bed. Yeah, she named her cat Darka. Ow. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. The photograph of Miss Pavlova and Darka has been entered into the court record. It was after I gave her her food last night. That's when it happened. I know these clues will play a role later, but right now this is totally off track. Yeah. I'm like, what does this all mean? What's going on? I don't know. She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared. Through the ventilator. Tarka. She is so naughty. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. What Mr. Shome says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right, but Mr. Shome seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. So naturally, we want to give him the postmortem report. Because it clearly says his cause of death is damage to the cervical vertebrae. Or, you know, the back of the neck.
Yes!
In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the postmortem report. Ah, yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something, or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Presumably, Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose it's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh, yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? Alright. So this is the scene. I'm almost certain it's the shoe polish. He slipped and broke. He slipped and fell on this bell. That's my guess. The other option is something to do with the ship's log. But this is clearly in the scene and the most obvious choice. So let us present this. Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed. Positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Kazuma? More like Clumsima. Ha! Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my result. The undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asogi's lace leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped. Please, no. And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life. No! I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. And if this part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. Somebody appears to have dropped 20,000 rubles here. It hasn't been dropped, Naruhodo-san. It's been placed. I'm starting to sound like Mr. Sholmes. Stop trying to sound like the great detective. This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them. But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably, there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you.
Yes!
Well, that looks like clear concealment of evidence to me. It matches the bell that we found at the scene of the crime. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass objects, it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no! So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know, in that hushed Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be this photograph that we just received. Take a good look at this bell on the kitten.
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from darkest color, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka. Welp. It wasn't murder, guys. It was just a really tragic accident. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Big rip. Imagine being a Chad like Cosmo and then dying because you tripped. I know, right? A true Japanese man always carries his sword with— aw, shit! A tiny gap in the stairs. Crap. Well, rip. He's just like Zoro's sword, or— What was her name? Quina, I think? Just like Quina from One Piece. Just fucking ate it from a flight of stairs. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it. Yes. And I had read the, rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So, at that point, you thought it safe to try and lure the kitten back again, by dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin. Darka always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy, I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Cosmo wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang! Then afterward, nothing. It was totally silent. Cosmo was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Burya is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case, and now she disappeared again. gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. Yeah, that doesn't explain the writing on the floor. Somebody had to have gotten into the cabin, wrote that fake dying message, and then came out. Using the bell to, assumingly, lock the cabin. Someone who would know about that little trick. I'm looking at you, Beef Stroganoff. I don't trust you. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died, but I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it, and where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board the ship? Oh, I didn't say? Snake is my friend. His name is Piroshko. What? What? That snake belongs to you? He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here. No wonder he's so attached. I know, right? It also explains the weird marks on Stroganoff's face. They were his snake coiling around his head. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. Ah, we are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend, without someone who understands. Can you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake. Surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Piroshko does not have venom. He is armless, very long, but very gentle. He is adorable, like Granny. It's venomless. Yes. Now, he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Ah! Like they milk chickens. Ridiculous! Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Piroshko eats mouses. Big, fat, round mouses. Oh. So... is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Of course! How else can I catch my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. Don't tell me he ate the cat. I mean, that is a technical possibility. It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up a bell cord, and it's not even venomous? How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? Oh, Herlock. It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. May Piroshko has nothing to do with this incident. Real fourth wall break, man. Yeah, no kidding. So that's what happened. That is the truth behind my best friend's tragic death? There's still more to the story, my dude. We're not done yet. Right? Miss Pavlova? I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But, what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story. I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Ugh, not again! When did he do that? Especially as they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were, Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours, was he not? Yes. Cosmo was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. About how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent! Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident.
Hold it!
Wait, let's just take one step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Cosmo's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. But really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. Okay, so I'm actually not 100% sure what I'm supposed to be presenting here. I think it's the crime scene photograph, and I think I'm supposed to point out the dying message. That is my gut feeling. I'm not sure what else it could be. The ship's log? I know the ship's log is going to be relevant at some point, but... let's,
Yes!
that's what saves are for. The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. That's script. It's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese, in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry, what do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything. Because he was already dead. Gasp. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there if Miss Pavlova told us was true. What? So, Suzaru-san has noticed it too, then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words... Again, I'm going to save again, but I'm pretty sure they're talking about the bell.
Yes!
This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass bell the kitten had around its neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, it's a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? That's really what happened. Then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that waste paper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asogi's. You are wasting time. Someone else was there? Duh, of course, we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And only other person in cabin when young student died was you.
Yes!
It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I would have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor. In an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor, for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asogi really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, It was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would have barely cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Seaman Stroganoff? Nina is woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills, and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on the ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal. Ah, so that's it. You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth. Well, this is all most interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? You are a great detective. You should know. Look truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina. Not anyone. Or do you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Yet, it's impossible. He's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside. Thread? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel, with not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Sano-san, how can you shift it onto me like that? So, Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door, without laying a finger on it. And, in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside? One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo? Monsuzato, you saw him do it. Yes, and so should you, because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the outside. Well, since they're making us show it here, it's these bookshelves that are in disarray, is it not?
Yes!
Okay, I was wondering why it wouldn't let me press A, and it's because I had to press Y. Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe, yes, it was known as the force of inertia acting on the objects. Is there nothing Susato-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book, at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come to this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Oh, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosonaga. Oh, yes! That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of inertia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Asogi was killed... Yep. The SS Burya made another emergency stop? When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh, yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? Then, when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asogi's cabin. Oh my. Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Are you out of your mind? You say Burya made emergency stop. Does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm. Oh, yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there? Telling you only to press the buttons in times of emergency. On dark nights, when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, it was you? When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interests of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings, and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with ship? I report you to Captain. You are in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learnt a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider. Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not? You are idiots! Burya is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make emergency stop, even in middle of night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? Why, the ship's log, of course. Nothing to report. 1:30. Completely blank.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, it's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right? That is correct. Why? And the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine! Ah, you rather carelessly left it atop the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose! That is where I put it always! Point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase "nothing to report" every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log? That is... duh! Because nothing happened! But if nothing happened, you would normally write "nothing to report," wouldn't you? Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened here aboard the SS Burya. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Damn it, and I liked his name too. Are you suggesting the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish! If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh? Why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. Oh, yes, I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right. My head's been throbbing today, too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. And then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant? Oh shit, the chicken was poisoned! It knocked out everybody in the upper and lower class cabins, and Kazuma was still awake because he didn't eat it. My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No, really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific, designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug? Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, Seaman? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals for aiding and abetting a renegade. Please, no more. I will tell everything. I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes. So when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help. Everyone. Together. She threw away everything. Her fame in the ballet. Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. Duh. We could not make all drug, how you say, dissolve? Talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight, in the waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by comrade on shore with small fishing boat. While all the passengers of the SS Buria slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effect of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals had contained. So, if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Oh, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins, after which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite. And accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway, and so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. You have talked long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But... I don't know about any of this. I'm just little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. A laudable trait. What? I'm quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Do you hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt on the wind. What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man! But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No. You must hear it with your eyes! For observation is the basis of all deduction. Don't let Sholmes do any more descriptions anymore. Yeah. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come for one final, logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth. So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow. Just as I said. Of these two prevaricators. Observation? If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asogi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two was there when it happened. Precisely. You are delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died. I know there was a reason it kept pointing us to the ears. Oh, what's that? It's a broken earring. She doesn't appear to have noticed that it's broken. Alright. It's not letting me save out of this. But
Yes!
Let's present it. Nope, not it. That was not it. I noticed the dainty jewelry you're wearing on your ears, Miss Pavlova. Were we to find a piece of those earrings in Mr. Asogi's cabin, it would prove beyond doubt that you were there. Although, we haven't actually found anything yet, so... That deduction was wanting in every way. Yes, I was wanting you to hear it. I'm quite proud of it. I find myself wanting never to have heard it. I'm quite pained by it, in fact. Oh, sorry. I'll try again. How exactly are we supposed to show that someone else was there when Kazuma died? I can think of two possible ways. Either we find a trace of something that the person in question left behind at the scene, or, if that's not possible, a trace of something that the person took away from the scene, be that accidentally or deliberately. A trace of something someone took away. If you observe closely enough, I believe you will find examples of both. Give them a long, hard, and uncompromising stare from all sides. That's my advice. Yeah, if you're gonna be an idiot with confidence. But look at these chunky arms, man. His arms like tree trunks, doesn't he? Hairy tree trunks. Yes, he certainly has sailor's arm. He's a born man of the sea. Even if I had been awake, I couldn't have done anything about being dragged out of that wardrobe by this man. Naruhodo-san? Are you alright? You seem to be lost in thought. Oh, sorry. Blame those hairy tree trunks. There we go. We just had to get the right angle. Oh, look at this. It's some kind of stain in an unusual place. Yes, you're right. It looks like ink, if I'm not mistaken. Ink. And look at the color, too. It's clear where this came from.
Yes!
Although that was a pretty funny mistake there. Seaman Stroganoff. You seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Eh? Ah, yes, I don't know where the dirt comes from. So, nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain. What are you trying to say? It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform. And I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then. The evidence that proves what that stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is... I mean, we have it. I'm looking for where that ink actually is, like, in my court record notes. Do I have to present the crime scene photograph, then? The Russian road from wardrobe is written in purple ink. Yeah, I have a feeling it's this. Like, I know they want me to show that the ink came from the crime scene. But the question is, what do I present to show that?
Yes!
Yep. Yes, it's this photograph, and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Ink. A rather unusual color of ink. Purple. Ah, the penny drops at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of the exact same color. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means... you must have been present in the cabin in the moments immediately after the ink was spilt. Alright, yes, it was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in dead student's cabin to make it look like wardrobe man did it. Then I pressed button to make Boria do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel. Beef, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheet. Beef, please, you must help me. I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw student boy on floor. What happened here? I don't think they killed him still. No, I think this is really just a tragic accident, and this is just a cover-up. That's all this is. Please, don't tell anyone. My little one. My little furry friend. Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asogi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor. Yes, that is right. So after the incident, when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers, only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? The door was not locked, so she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind. What? When you went to Mr. Asogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened door of student's cabin and looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. It is rather anticlimactic, wouldn't you say? Well, Miss Pavlova? Duh. Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. Susato establishing dominance. Yeah, damn straight. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Cosmo's death at last? Ah! Something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck. Therefore, the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there's one particular area in this photograph. It seems to me somewhat unnatural. What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well... If Cosmo tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck, which part of this photographic print seems unnatural? Okay, so my guess is it's the position of the body. Typically, if you break your neck, you don't do it falling forward. I mean, also, this dying message is unnatural, but we know that this was written in ink to incriminate him, right? They did say that, right? Like, this feels like a trap. I'm gonna say this because this does seem unnatural.
Yes!
This word in Russian clearly wasn't written by Cosmo. So if you're looking for something unnatural, that's the obvious point. Very true. It is certainly peculiar, but is not what I meant by unnatural, I'm afraid. That particularly crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. I mean to identify another point. Oh, I see. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. In my opinion, if you landed as the victim appears to have done here, it would be most unnatural. I'm sure you'll reach the same conclusion. How thoughtful you are, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you for your gentle guidance. Is this like a trap or something? I mean, I didn't get penalized for taking the wrong choice this time, so I'm glad that happened. Yeah, I'm gonna point out the neck, I guess, because this seems like, you know, the position.
Yes!
God, am I like actually just pixel hunting? Is that what's going on here? When noticing a crucial point, it can be helpful to keep your eyes open. No, there's something very wrong in this photo. And it can be equally helpful to use them. We're gonna load. Kazuma's headband, isn't it? Keep in mind, if he trips, something that photo shows shouldn't be possible. Like... Oh god, I'm stumped. Why? Like, I think it's the way he tripped. Like, he looks like he's kind of, like, in the wrong position, like his body was moved. Maybe. We get, like, a magnifying glass.
Yes!
Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then his fist just doesn't seem quite right. Okay, yeah, I can see why this tripped us up. I can see that's definitely not a thing I would think of. Because I'd be like, oh yeah, sure. I mean, I've fallen over before and I've not, you know, immediately instinctively put my hand open to, like, catch myself. So, I mean, like, I understand, like, instinctually, you would open your hand up and, you know, try to, like, brace your fall. But why would his fist be closed? Interesting. Alright, let's see where this goes. The exact same thought occurred to me. Yeah, once you see it, you go, oh yeah, that makes sense, but it's not the first thing you would think of. Yeah, no, that's a tricky one. They definitely got me on that one. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms first. Yet here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say. As though he were gripping something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madame. Would I keep you in suspense? This is what I found. Miss Pavlova's earring. I was wondering about this. This was the thing I noticed, and I was thinking, oh, this is obvious the thing, but no. There was another trace of evidence that we just didn't know about yet. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you're right. Crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Observation, Mr. Naruhodo. That is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe! Find the answer with your own eyes. Came from Beef's chunky arms, that's for sure. Alright. They tell me to present the other ear, I'm gonna be mad. Yeah, we've seen this. I keep pressing A when I mean to press Y. Miss Pavlova, I noticed that on your ear. Even though you have a metal earring, the decorative part of it seems to be missing. The little link holding onto it must have broken, I suppose. What? But looking at your other ear, I notice a crescent moon. I don't believe it. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there's only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Asogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night, in Mr. Asogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no. Angel? No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin and I could relax after this horrible long day. Darka, wait! I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy, but nothing worked. Darka would not come back. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. The young man from your country, he was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again and I was going to leave the man's cabin... Just a moment. Sorry, but... Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah, of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man in a land from the faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth, and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So you've run away. Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait! I shouted. And then... Darka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And as he turned around to look at me, I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. And that's when you went to fetch help from Seaman Stroganoff, who was on duty out in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out and thud on floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like leaf. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Beef. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go." So you decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Cosmo's cabin to make it look like I did it, so that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door. Yes, I went into cabin and I looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And then I found stowaway and wardrobe still sleeping. Right, that's when he found me. So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the stowaway. I closed wardrobe doors and put back strange paper sign. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Susato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged young man's body to good place and used ink that was spilling to write on floor. I wrote wardrobe so that the person who found him would look inside the wardrobe and find the stowaway. And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I see. But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half. Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished job. By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway? Yes. Accordingly, the SS Buria did indeed come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolt on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Cosma about the fact that you run away from your homeland. And it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. He said an inspector was his friend. Oh, yes, meaning me. Who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard? I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done so. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There's one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes. What action was the victim really about to take that moment? Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was directed? First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still, that cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night, when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama? It's all fun and game until they play the homies theme. I know, right? It's just so good. Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at? This part hit me way harder than I thought. God damn it, Kazuma. Why are you so cool?
Take that!
Considering everything that had happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, what is directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe. The wardrobe? And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Another opinion? Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if, between them, they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. Oh no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. Miss Pavlova? I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But, unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did, and that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really, I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Buria was finally laid to rest. Why does this cage just go in for the feels? Because they want to hit you really hard with it. Everyone's chill until Homie's theme plays. And now it's just like, hey, remember when Cosmo lost his life? This theme's gonna just remind you of that all the time now. God damn it. January 9th, 7:14 p.m. SS Buria, first class cabin passageway. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now, then? Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia, then? No, I don't think so. Oh hey, they fixed Hosanaga's glasses. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. Seaman Stroganoff? I wanted to help our angel, no matter what, but I didn't think about you, about how you lost a good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. It's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste, but... well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Duh. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes. I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your cabin now. It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. To think that only days ago, Kazuma and I were laughing together about how we'd tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Susato-san? Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hosonaga just told me I should pack. You know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. Oh no. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over. Just like that. Susato-san. He had such grand ideas for his visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. And now they've been cruelly taken away. Just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector, my duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain. But I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down. And I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now, at least... huh? Surprise, Mr. Naruhodo! What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore them, for old time's sake, shall we say. You are a stowaway, after all. He thinks this is funny? God damn it, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes? We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it is a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences. The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port, in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan, make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be 1 lawyer and 1 assistant. Was to be. In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no. I don't care for me, but... Poor Susato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is 1 lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there's no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. Miss Susato? Yes. Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there's still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn why I must become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo? That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all of that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector. Every single day. Will you let me try? Oh god, I'm dropping frames. Right at the end. God damn it. And if by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. Hey, it beats getting stowed away and, you know, knocked off in Hong Kong. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit, too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Susato? I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. Aw, that was a cute smile. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? Are you serious? That smile that must be protected. The eyes. You know it. Protect Susato. 1 lawyer and 1 assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No. It's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating. Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest. Give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character. No? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, This man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to award my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector? After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Thank you, Inspector. Aw. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next, and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer. I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant, after all. Thank you. Aww. And, Mr. Naruhodo? I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karma. It is a great sword that has been in the Asogi clan for generations. Very well. I accept. I'll treasure it always. So then, Miss Susato, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you too. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. What? I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. Wow, that's certainly one way to make a proposition. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgettable behavior. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away. And the cabin door was locked from me. No! I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you. And not just once, but 5 times. That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it. No. I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling. Oh, well, in a way, it's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujitsu technique. Apparently it's called the Susato takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. How beguiling. I am a practitioner of the combative arts myself. I am a somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you would be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw. Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madame. Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Not on me. As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Susato takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was a Susato squash. Man, Naruhodo's in for a rough time. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. They're all idiots and I love them. Yep. Karma? That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain. And I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do? I still don't know what that was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. And that's the end of Case 2. Whew. That was a Fields train and a half. Let's make our save, and I guess we'll be calling it that an episode. So, thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed trial number 2. It wasn't a murder this time. It was just a tragic accident. I mean, I guess technically it'd be like manslaughter, but, you know, whatever. Details, schmeetails. In any case, that was a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying this game. Yeah, I didn't even have a trial either. It was all great deductions with our good pal Hairlock Sholmes. Yeah, I'm really having a blast with this game. Can't wait to start up on episode 3. Not sure when that'll be, but hopefully it'll be soon. In any case, my name is Logic Blade. Thank you all for coming today. If you want to catch my videos, I stream on Twitch, and I port all of them to YouTube, so you can check me out either here or there. If you're interested in helping to support the channel, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And if you want to support the channel even more, I do have a Patreon account if you want to check that out. But that should be all for now. Have a good afternoon, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Toodaloo.